Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Dan Hiscock, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Major Emma Williams. We welcome the veterans who have served, those still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Return and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Service Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial and students on behalf of Hockey Western Australia's under-15s girls team. Now, if you're able, I please invite you to stand and join in singing the National Anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is got by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Thank you. If you're able and you wish to, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this National Memorial Museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read just one of the stories behind those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private James Allan. James Allan was born in about 1890 to James and Catherine Allan in the town of Sauchie, Scotland. He attended school in the nearby town of Fishcross. The family emigrated to New South Wales when James was 19 years old. Settling in Abermain, near Maitland, James Allan worked as a miner. In Scotland, Allan had served in the Territorial Army as a member of the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders. In late 1915, he travelled south to Liverpool Army Camp and volunteered for service in the Australian Imperial Force. He was appointed to the newly raised 36th Battalion and trained in Australia for 4 months. In May 1916, the battalion left Sydney on the transport ship Beltana and arrived in England in early July. Allan and the unit continued training in the army camps on Salisbury Plain. In November 1916, they sailed for France and joined the fighting on the Western Front. The battalion was stationed in the town of Artemier in northern France, near the Belgian border. The French winter of 1916 and 1917 was the coldest in living memory, and the battalion's war diary recorded heavy falls of snow. The battalion spent time behind the lines as well as in frontline trenches. Fighting was less intense during winter, but had not stopped completely. In January 1917, the war diary recorded that the battalion suffered more than 50 casualties to German shelling and trench raids. In April 1917, Allan fell sick and was treated in hospital, returning to his unit before the end of the month. In the middle of 1917, British commanders turned their attention away from the Somme River sector and towards the border of France and Belgium. They planned a major offensive aimed at capturing higher ground outside the town of Ypres in Belgium. The first step in this campaign was to be the capture of the ridgeline outside the town of Messines. In preparation for the assault on Messines, British, Canadian and Australian soldiers had dug mines underneath the German positions and filled the mines with explosives. Before dawn on the 7th of June 1917, these explosives were detonated and the Allied soldiers charged the German lines. During the attack, Allan was killed in action. He was 26 years old. Allan's remains were buried where he fell, but in the subsequent fighting, the location of his grave was lost. His name is one of more than 54,000 Commonwealth soldiers who are commemorated on the Ypres Memorial in Belgium. Private James Allan is also listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, amongst almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private James Allan, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age will not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We'll leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub of Gallipoli with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post-ceremony. On behalf of the Director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support during the Memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.